Yo, could someone explain to me why they always put the most esoteric and Masonic symbolism in children movies? Because on a surface level, the Lego movie looks like a child film, but symbolically, it's one of the clearest allegories for human consciousness, enlightenment, and spiritual awakening ever put in an animated film. But let's decode it. So the Lego world symbolizes the material matrix, and it represents a constructed world. Everything is pre-built, everything has a manual, everyone follows orders. And that mirrors the material realm that we live in. Go to school, get a job, listen to rules, don't question authority, etc. And in Freemasonry and Gnosticism, this world represents the profane world, a world of structure without spirit. So now Emmett, he is the uninitiated man. He represents an average man. No identity, no individualism, no self-knowledge. He's literally always singing, everything is awesome. And that's not happiness, that's programming. And he represents a man that never questions reality. The man that lives by repetition, routine, and obedience. And in esoteric terms, Emmett, he represents the rough ashlar, the unpolished stone. So now the instruction book, that represents the dogma, symbolizing religious dogma, social conditioning, educational indoctrination, and governmental authority. So everything only must be built one way. But true creation doesn't come from instructions in a manual, it comes from consciousness. Now that's the first lesson. Now the piece of resistance, that's the pineal gland. And if you realize the piece of resistance is the object that allows one to resist control, it's symbolic of the activated third eye. And once the piece of resistance is attached to Emmett, he begins to see visions and he awakens from the programming. And he now becomes marked as special. And this mirrors the esoteric lesson that awakening can't be taught, but it's activated. Knowledge attaches itself when consciousness is activated and ready. So now Lord Business, he's the demiurge. He's not God. He's the false god. He's the architect that wants everything perfect, frozen, untouched, and permanent. And he plans to use Craggle, which is crazy glue. That glue represents rigidity, no movement, no evolution, no growth. And this is identical to the Gnostic demiurge who fears human creativity. And that's because creativity is divine. So now the master builders, they are initiates. They don't use instruction. They build intuitively. And this represents artists, visionaries, alchemists, initiates. So really just an enlightened mind. And in Masonic symbolism, these are the craftsmen of the temple. And they understand sacred geometry, creation through mind, not matter. So now the fall into the void, that represents the dark night of the soul. And when Emmett falls through the void between worlds, he experiences an ego death. This is the initiatory descent. He loses his identity, the collapse of the false self, and death of illusion. And in ancient esoteric systems, this is a fact. You must fall before you rise. So now the Father, the architect above the architects, that is like the higher self, or the source of consciousness, the true creator. So Lord Business, he lives within his world, but the Father exists outside of it. So this reveals the ultimate truth. Prison was never absolute, it was nested, just like consciousness layers. And Emmett, he's not special because he's chosen. He's special because he realizes that everyone is special. And this is a high Masonic teaching, and it's not elitism, it's awakening. The chosen one myth collapses when consciousness matures. Because true enlightenment isn't separation, it's unity. So really the Lego movie teaches us that we are born into a constructed world. Authority wants order over consciousness. Creativity threatens control. Awakening begins with self-belief. And the God that you believe is above you isn't actually the real God. And reality is meant to be played with, not obeyed. So the Lego movie is not about toys, but it's about becoming the true architect inside you and freeing the real master builder that lives within all of us. But that's it, gang. Drop another movie.